somewhere between now and the 13th of September, every single one of your Medicare Advantage and Part D clients is going to open their mailbox and find an envelope from their insurance company. And you might not believe me, but what's inside it has more to do with how your fourth quarter goes than almost anything else that you do through the year. And you already know it. It's the annual notice of change. But I want to spend a few minutes on what it actually is, because the way CMS classifies this document changes what you're allowed to do with it, and I feel like that part doesn't always get fully explained. So the ANOC, or ANOC, is a standardized marketing material through which plans must provide the information required annually, and it must be sent for enrollee receipt no later than September 30th of each year. Now, two things in that regulation sentence tell us a whole lot. The first one is the deadline. September 30th is a hard date, so if your client's plan is still being offered next year, that envelope is coming, and it is coming before October. The second one is the phrase standardized marketing material. And that's the one I want to look at for a minute. Because when we hear the word marketing, we think of, a glossy piece, like a flyer with that smiling couple on the front. And CMS is using the word in its regulatory sense. So under the Code of Federal Regulations, something counts as marketing when it does one of two things. It's intended to draw attention to a plan or influence whether somebody stays in it or leaves it. And when it talks about benefits, premiums, cost sharing, or ratings. And the ANOC does all that. So it's marketing. And being marketing puts it under the entire rulebook. Now, here's the part that changes your job, because since this is a standardized material, the regulation says that the organization must use this document without alteration except for 7 things, and I'll give you all 7. Populating variable fields, so basically filling out fields that CMS leaves blank, correcting grammatical errors, adding customer service phone numbers, adding the plan name or the logo or both, deleting content that doesn't pertain to the plan type, so an MA-only plan can strip the Part D language out of it, adding the standardized material identification code that's at the bottom, and adding the HIPAA notice of privacy practices. That's it. So a carrier with a legal department and a compliance officer gets those 7 edits and nothing else. So when an agent takes that document and wants to build a cleaner one-page version of it with their own logo and their picture across the top, well, they've gone past what the carrier itself is permitted to do. So anything that you build that names a specific plan's benefits or premiums or star ratings meets the definition of marketing, and it must go to CMS for approval before it goes to a client. The fact that the ANOC is a standard document is what makes the document usable at all. Because every single ANOC, in every single one of them, carriers have to put the same information in the same place and in the same order. A person can hold this year's against last year's and see what moved, and they can hold one carrier's against another's and get a straight answer out of it. That comparison is the only thing the document is really for. So if a plan could rearrange the pages, the comparison stops working. So here's where I think that leaves you, and I'd call this the good news. You cannot rewrite the document, and really you don't need to. What you can do is be the person sitting next to somebody while they read it. The authority in that conversation is an official document that their own insurance company mailed them. And your part in the whole thing is being the professional who knows how to walk through that document in plain language. I would argue that that's a stronger seat than any one-pager you could have built, because you're never asking them to take your word for anything. You're pointing at a line on a page with a carrier's own logo on it. So between now and the end of September, that document is going to do its job whether you're involved or not. It gets mailed, it gets opened, and it either gets read or it goes right in the pile by the coffee maker or the trash can. The only thing you get to decide is whether you're in the room when it comes out of the envelope. So if you'd like to hear the step-by-step process that my team uses for the ANOC review, go visit my newsletter on Substack, because I talked about it in my Tuesday newsletter, and I will actually be holding a live webinar outlining the process. I hope I see you there.